Hey there, logic lovers and liberty aficionados. Welcome to another exciting episode of Are You Smarter Than a Libertarian? The only YouTube show where we take a fun, heads-on approach to big ideas, logical puzzles, and all things freedom-related. I'm your host, Jeff Metric, and today we're shining a spotlight on one of the most common pitfalls in debates, the middle ground fallacy. Now you might be thinking, what is the middle ground fallacy? Isn't compromise a good thing? Sometimes it is, but as we'll see, not every compromise is created equal. Let's get started. Now, you may ask yourself, what is the middle ground fallacy? The middle ground fallacy is the mistaken idea that the correct answer to any debate or argument always lies precisely in the middle between two opposing extremes. Imagine if one person said, we should do everything possible to reduce taxes to zero, and the other person said, we should raise taxes to 100% on everyone. If you think, well, let's split the difference and tax everyone at 50%, that has to be correct, right? That's the middle ground fallacy in action. Don't get me wrong, sometimes meeting in the middle works perfectly fine, like splitting the last slice of pizza with a friend, but logically speaking, you can't assume the truth is always halfway between two extreme positions. Sometimes one side really is correct, or mostly correct, or neither side has it right. It just depends on the evidence. Now, why are we talking about it on Are You Smarter Than a Libertarian? Well, you see, libertarians are known for their strong stances on personal freedom, minimal government, and for some, possibility of unlimited supplies that don't tread on meat flags at home. But all jokes aside, people of all political leanings can fall prey to the middle ground fallacy. Libertarians, progressive, centrist, your auntie on Facebook. It's an equal opportunity logical slip-up, as most of them are. When debating folks with strong ideological views, you'll often hear extremes. The government should mind its own business entirely versus the government should regulate everything. You might be tempted to say, all right, let's compromise halfway. But we have to check if that middle solution actually works rather than just lazily concluding that compromise is the only route. We become a generation of laziness. Now let's do a fun example. The tiny government versus the gigantic government. Person A wants to abolish all taxes and have the government so small that it has to sublet your cousin's garage just to fit its entire staff in there. Now, the other extreme, person B wants a massive government the size of a small galaxy, think 8 times as many agencies as we already have, each one in charge of making sure your socks are properly sorted by color. If we slap these viewpoints together, the middle ground would most likely say, let's have a medium-sized government and moderately high taxes. That doesn't sound like any fun to me. But is that automatically the correct solution? We have to ask crucial questions. Does it fix the problems with infrastructure, education, or healthcare? Does it create new problems? Just because it's in between person A and person B doesn't mean it's logically or practically sound. It's like if person A wanted to solve a headache by banging their head on a wall, and person B wanted to solve it by dunking themselves in freezing water. The middle ground would be bang your head gently under a cold tap. That might be equally ineffective or even harmful. But people on the right and left like to bang their head against the wall. The real question is, which approach actually helps the headache? The correct answer might not be in the middle at all. Now, where does the middle ground fallacy show up? It shows up all the time in our lives when Democrats and Republicans try to compromise. Time to find out if you're smarter than a libertarian or your typical internet commenter. Let's play a mini trivia game. I'll give you 3 statements people commonly argue about. You guess whether or not the middle ground solution is always the best or might be a logical slip-up. Ready? Speed limits. Person A. Abolish speed limits. Everyone drives as fast or as slow as they want. Person B says, put a universal top speed limit of 20 miles an hour everywhere, from highways to driveways to byways to parkways. The middle ground, you're probably thinking, is a single 55-mile-an-hour limit on all roads. Is that automatically the best solution? Obviously not. Local roads might be fine with 30 miles an hour, while highways may handle 70, 80, 85. So if you guess that automatically picking 55 for all roads just because it's the middle might be flawed, you got it right. It is flawed. Public school funding. And this is an interesting one. And let's get the emotions up a little bit. Position A, eliminate public schools entirely. Position B, double or triple the budget for every school, no questions asked. Middle ground, keep the budgets exactly the same with slight adjustments. You might find that the best option is more nuanced, like targeted increases for underfunded schools, rethinking how resources are allocated, or exploring alternative education models. I'm in favor of the alternative education models. It's not necessarily correct to just split the difference. Now, cake versus salad, we've all had this debate at some point, even internally within our own mind. Everyone should eat only cake all day, every day. We'd be fat. Position B, everyone should eat salad for every meal. Yeah, that's not a good idea either. The middle ground is half a slice of cake and half a bowl of salad for each meal. That's dumb. And this is the middle ground fallacy at work right here. Is that healthy for everyone? Possibly better than all cake, but not necessarily ideal. People have different dietary needs. Some folks might need more of one or the other, or even more variety. Again, the perfect middle might not be so perfect after all. Now, if you got all three of these correct, you're definitely on your way to being smarter than the libertarian, or at least smarter than the average internet troll. You've recognized that the middle ground fallacy can appear in everyday discussions from politics to personal diets. Now, let's talk about the logic behind this fallacy. So let's break this down academically for a moment. The middle ground fallacy is typical of is a type of informal fallacy. It suggests that if you have two opposite sides and you assume the truth is automatically in the middle, you're skipping the work of analyzing the merits of each side. It's basically letting compromise for compromise sake be the final word. It's like agree to disagree. It's the same thing. That's a bit like flipping a coin to choose your dinner and say, well, heads means pizza, tails means sushi. So a quick compromise is pizza sushi rolls. Wait, on second thought, that might be worth a shot. You never know. There's a lot of different foods. They have a crab rangoon pizza now, too. Now, how do we avoid the middle ground fallacy? Let's talk about how not to fall into the trap. 1, evaluate the evidence. Listen carefully to both sides or multiple sides. Do they have strong data, logical consistency, and expert backing? Consider context. Sometimes the best solution is not a perfect 50-50 or a perfect 0 or 100. Instead, it depends on context. Don't pick a compromise if it fails to address the underlying issue. Point 3, check for logical rigor. Ask, why is this position more reasonable or less reasonable? You can even compare potential outcomes, and if the middle solution has no logical advantage, don't choose it just because it's in the middle. And fourth and finally, embrace the possibility of one side being mostly correct. We all want to be fair, but being fair doesn't require ignoring the possibility that one side of an argument is actually supported by better evidence. So, are you smarter than the libertarian? Now, we've had some fun tonight at the expense of libertarians, but let's be real. Everyone can slip up into this middle ground fallacy. That includes libertarians, conservatives, progressives, and your beloved host. And just don't tell my mom, please. Or your neighbor's dog who likes to bark during your Zoom calls or when you're shooting a podcast. The real question is, are you smarter than letting lazy compromise do the thinking for us? If we remember to check the facts, apply logic, and consider each argument on its merits rather than the attractiveness of the middle stance, then yes, we absolutely are. That's it for today's episode of Are You a Libertarian? We learned what compromise can be great in some areas, like deciding which movie to watch with your friends. It doesn't guarantee correctness in a logical debate. Avoiding the middle ground fallacy is about doing the legwork, investigating the extreme, assessing evidence, and sometimes concluding that one side might just be right or that the truth might lie somewhere else entirely that's not in the middle. If you've enjoyed today's show, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe for more episodes. Also, check me out on Spotify and drop a comment below. Tell us about a time you spotted a middle ground fallacy in a real life argument. And if you're a libertarian, hey, no hard feelings. I'm a libertarian myself. We're all in this for fun, the freedom, and the logic. Thank you for watching. Remember that new videos drop every day. Until next time, stay free, stay informed, stay accountable. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Have a great day.